Hi guys, welcome back to Ferris Tutorials. In today's episode, we're looking at Tourism Unit 2, Module 3, Entrepreneurship, and we're exploring Content 5, which is entitled Entrepreneurship Process in the Tourism Context. Stay tuned. Tourism Unit 2, Module 3, Entrepreneurship. And in today's episode, we're looking at Content 5, which is entitled Entrepreneurship Process in the Tourism Context. Now, let's take a look at the learning objectives. By the end of the session, you should be able to evaluate the entrepreneurship process in the tourism context. Now, we're speaking of entrepreneurship process, but what do we really mean when we speak of entrepreneurial process, right? Let's take a look at the definition. Now, entrepreneurial process can be defined as a step taken in order to establish a new enterprise. Now, entrepreneurial process can be defined as the steps taken in order to establish a new enterprise. So we can summarize by saying it is a step-by-step method one has to follow to set up an enterprise. Now, we're not just speaking of the entrepreneurial process in general, but what we're doing in today's session, we're putting it in context as it relates to tourism. Now, there are 4 steps, right? And they are 1, identify opportunities, 2, assessment of the influences on the opportunities, 3, evaluate the opportunity, and 4, make decisions. Now, let's look at these steps in a little more details. Now, the first one is identify opportunities. Now, how can we do that? Identifying of needs and wants of consumers. Good. Now, when we speak of need, guys, it is something basic in life, such as food, drink, clothing, and shelter. It is something that someone cannot or we cannot do without, right? As it relates to wants, it is an extension of need. For example, cravings for better than the basic needs, right? So something that we desire but doesn't necessarily, we can survive without it, basically. All right, now let us look at some example of need. So we may speak of need for food. So need for food, rice is a type of food and that would supply our need, right? But when we're wanting for food, we may want what? Vegetable fried rice. Good. So a need for a shelter, you have to what? Rent a flat. So we may have persons renting a flat with, for instance, 10 housemates because you need somewhere to live. Whereas when we want for a shelter, you may rent a condo. Good. Now, the better the economy of people, the more business opportunities available for entrepreneurs. And in identify the opportunities, entrepreneurs have to focus on the needs and the wants of the consumers. All right. Next step, assessment of the influences on the opportunities. Now, we may speak of internal influences where we speak of what? The characteristics of the entrepreneur or the attributes of the entrepreneur. So we may speak of skills, personality, aspiration, and experience. All of these are internal influences that may influence entrepreneurial activities. Now, as it relates to external influences that may influence the entrepreneurial opportunity, we're speaking of what? Political influences. And in our previous episode, we look at what is meant by political, economic, social, and also technological influences. So all of these external factors influence the opportunities for entrepreneurship, right? Number 3, evaluate the opportunity. How can one evaluate the opportunity? How can you know? You can know what? By researching to find out. So we speak of market research and also gathering the resources. Now, market research is a process of determining the viability of a new service or product through research conducted directly with potential customers. So going back to number one, how can we identify the needs and the wants? We have to do what? A market research. Now, market research allows a company to discover the target market and get opinions and other feedback from customers about their interest in the product or service. The final step, which is step 4, is what? Make decision. So when we're making decision, is either we're going to go ahead with the business opportunity or you abandon the opportunity. Now we're at our question. So what you're going to do is to outline the steps in the entrepreneurship process as it relates to tourism. All right. Awesome. You've made it to the end of the session. If you found this video useful, please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and also turn on your post notification bells so you can be notified when there's another upload. Most of all, share with persons who you know will find this